he was flying back.
Pop machine, where the restrooms
He won't
are.
be here tonight.
Becky, what's the latest with
flying in or flying
the
out?
sister-in-law? Or
I guess we're home and.
I think it's right. Isn't it
she
right?
lucked out that, didn't she?
I think.
Yes.
Well, I guess since she's not here, we'll get her started.
He went at,
He wasn't get. Okay, so he missed that. He was flying back
Right
today.
there.
John, he didn't think he'd be here.
He's messing with
He didn't think he'd be able to
Did
be
you
here.
make up any extras?
Yeah, I have one extra.
Okay, so why don't we get this started and, Chief Shepherd, you wanna start?
We have to.
Thank you.
Under February statistics, 1,100 calls for service, 125 offense reports, 60 arrests, 35 accidents, and 99 citations. And have the previous years, back to 2008. Overtime for February, 11,247. Year to date, 21,000. And I don't think that's a real number. I think it's 21,274.
Yeah, I see that.
At least I caught
I wouldn't want to, but since he's serving.
and the previous years are beneath. I am torn whether I'm happy or afraid, but I'm retiring April 18th. That's my last day on the books. I probably will have a little vacation, maybe a week or so. So it might be as early as my physical being here, but you'll see a lot of them, and I can tell you more about that if you wish.
Let me just go ahead and mention, Lieutenant Mason is gonna become the chief, when, Chief Shepherd retires. I'm gonna notify civil service, well, they know already, but I'll formally notify civil service of my intention to, promote Lieutenant Mason to chief. Waiving all testing and other considerations. Lieutenant Mason will probably be with us till January or February or something like that. Am I remembering right?
That's correct.
Something like that.
But the latest would be April to get him through the CALIA inspection is in April of 2015.
Okay.
I really would hate to leave him in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, he'll be retiring with how many years of service in by that point?
Right now, 28, 29.
So
Wait, so you're gonna promote a chief and then they're gonna retire?
No, he's gonna retire.
he's gonna retire next April.
In 15,
Yeah.
2015.
So in the meantime, I'm gonna work with the State Police Chiefs Association to have them help assess candidates for the chief once Lieutenant Mason retires out of that position next year. My intention is to certainly consider internal candidates, but also to consider external candidates as well. And these guys have been through this process before in other positions. They can probably go into some greater detail than me, but the Police Chiefs Association can help with the process of assessing those candidates after the civil service test to help in the evaluation process for hiring the next chief. So if you guys have any questions on that, like I said, they've been through that process before, and can give you a better description of the type of services that they offer.
I know I'm gonna get questions, so I'm gonna ask it now. Why are we putting somebody in that's gonna retire every year?
I think he deserves it. B, I think it helps us in the interim. Knowing his time frame of when he's going to be leaving allows us this year to go through the process of hiring someone who, in all likelihood, would be a chief for a long-term period. But no, Lieutenant Mason's put in 28 years with the Heath Police Department. He's been your lieutenant for how long?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2007.
So, and to be honest, I think Lieutenant Mason probably has handled, at least in the tenure that I've been here and seen him, he's handled really every function that Tony has as chief. So I feel totally comfortable with his ability to continue in the capacity of chief for the rest of the time that he's with the department. And that will, as I said, give us this period of time then where we can go through the process of evaluating a long-term person for the job. You know, Chief Shepherd and I have had conversations about his potential retirement for quite a while, but things really didn't crystallize until the last few months or so. Maybe.
Yeah, I had a divorce to get out of the way. To be quite frank about it. But,
And the process of doing this hiring and evaluation, it takes a while. So, I, for all of those reasons, and probably some that don't immediately come to mind, I'm totally comfortable with the idea of promoting Lieutenant Mason to chief.
Now, do we have to wait until he retires, Lieutenant Mason, to advertise again?
No, this is what I'm saying. We can go through this process.
A whole year.
Yeah, we can begin this process and have the time to do this. Knowing John's intentions helps us plan for that. So no, we won't have a period of time there where we would be, for lack of a better word, chiefless.
This is not a give me answers, thank you.
No chance of retire and rehire, huh?
No, sir. I mean, he'll tell you, you know when it's time.
it's like being a coach.
28 years I've been here, enjoyed all my time here, but it's time for me as well, to select. That was my retirement time frame, irregardless of what took place with the positions here at the department. I had chosen that date 3 years ago, that time frame to go. So one way or another, I knew I was going to be going out the door. And what I proposed to the mayor was, January was the possibility. I don't do any time after that, depending on how situations are here. I would work longer to make sure that the city had plenty of time to get a good replacement in place, ready to go and trained up, so that there's no time frame. So I'm flexible on that end of it. I don't want to see anybody. I don't rush the judgment on a new candidate. And something that the mayor touched on is with OACP. One thing I'd ask you to do that we didn't do the last time around is Ohio Association of Chiefs of Police, when they do the assessment. The other thing they'll do is they'll vet the candidates for you, and they'll do a background investigation. We didn't get that done the last time, and it turned out kind of awkward because we had our police officers, our detectives, doing the background on the future chiefs because they had kind of not really thought that process out in advance, where OACP can vet your candidates for you. They'll go into their background and do a background investigation to make sure your candidates are good. Because who wants to, nobody wants a detective that works for them knowing all of their background. If there's a little dirt or something that's not quite as clean and shiny that they did when they were 32 years old. So
What'd
You
you
don't
do,
want that.
Tony?
That's what I was gonna ask
I can't tell you.
We're all wondering.
Because we seal the files.
Oh, as long as it's sealed.
We quickly destroy those records.
I didn't get caught for everything.
As far as you know. But yeah, that's one thing I would encourage you to do as part of the service, is to look into that. And that's the other thing that you'll have to talk about, is these processes are not inexpensive. Written examinations are fairly inconsequential when it comes to money, but we could get into the OACP coming in and sending 3 professionals in or 4 professionals in, depending on how large your pool is, to do the assessment. They work throughout the whole length of the day with your assessment candidates, put them through many oral and written exercises through that day, and see what kind of written and verbal communication skills that they have. So vetting along with that would be doing the backgrounds, knowing where they're coming from. Those assessments, I think it was $1,000 per assessor for the chief's position. So if you have 3, it'll cost you $3,000 to $4,000 depending on the back, and then plus more for the background. So it's going to be a budgeting thing that you're going to have to, determine where you want to stand with that and prepare for it. So if you would be in the mind of putting that in next year's budget and starting with the exams in January, that put you in next year's budget. If not, you're going to have to find the money within this year's budget.
Appropriate it this year
for
for
those things.
Okay.
Well, I have 2 legislative requests. I sent everybody a memo kind of outlining my plans, my near future plans. And first and foremost is my affiliation with Heath in my local chapter. I want to continue doing that. You can be either active or retired, and so I want to continue doing it. I think it's for all the right reasons, and I get to do a little racing in between. Again, I want to continue to do that. Actually, do it more than I did, because I have a lot of fun with it. And it kind of goes hand in hand with becoming a member of the executive board for Get Behind the Badge. And I kind of married those 2 associations last year when I hosted the BT World Finals, and then that's how I met most of them. And
Explain that organization.
well, Get Behind the Badge originated back in 2001. The wife of a slain Whitehall officer started it because she knew how a sudden death like that impacted her family, and so to help other families in the same situation, slain or critically injured, BT is a fundraising organization. Right now it consists of 7 counties. Licking County is one of them, and they provide fundraising for officers killed or critically injured in line of duty, and they hope by I think 2015, next year, to go statewide. So it's a way of giving back, so to speak. But anyway, so I'm going to be busy with both those. And when I was voted on the executive board, my title was Licking County Liaison. So I've already started to form those relationships. The firefighters are hard to get along with, but hopefully Mark will help me out there. But anyway, so you'll see a lot of me even after I retire. So,
Chief Shepherd intends to, after he retires, tends to become a reserve officer for our department, which we tap the resources of our reserve officers from time to time to handle any number of things, including, I think, they help us on the night of Star Spangled Celebration, don't they, from a traffic and, getting people out of the park type of a situation,
Right.
and in the park, so his intention is to go on a reserve status with the Heath Police Department after he retires. Now, whether or not then Chief Mason cares to call on him for anything or not, we'll see.
I think you'll need to ask the officers if they want to. After I leave. No, I've been blessed with some great relationships, regardless of the rank. But anyway, that leads me into these two legislative requests. The first one would be authorizing the mayor to deem the 2004 Atlas trailer that I use and beat the heat, it's the race car hauler, as surplus property and donate it to my chapter of Beat the Heat. In that memo I sent you, I kind of explained my reasoning behind it. It would give me a lot of flexibility, not having to worry about getting it back to the department. Matter of fact, on my bucket list is to head south with the race car and do a southern tour of sorts, and visit various BT chapters and participate in some of their events. The trailer, for those of you Jeff and Tim are here when we bought it, but we used OBI funds to purchase the trailer. We bought it used, so it's for flexibility, and I would assume insurance and of course maintenance on it. And as it gets older, it will probably become a very deep hole, but I think I've addressed everything I had in mind. But
when Chief Shepherd came and talked to me about this, I really had no strong opinion one way or the other. I thought it would be a good thing to discuss with the committee. You may not be aware of this. The trailer, to my knowledge, is really not used in any other capacity at this time. Is that right?
no, except when we did the raid at Hit It Big and had all those slot machines and computers.
Yeah.
And I certainly, particularly being a reserve officer, would avail the trailer anytime it was necessary. I already have a rider on it with my private vehicle, same as I do with the company car, so I don't think that would be a problem. But
Chief Shepherd also, on the front portion of the trailer, had built some sort of a living quarters type of a thing for him to stay in when he goes around to the different Beat the Heat races.
I wouldn't call it living quarters.
hey, it's got a TV, air conditioning, 110 electricity. That's a living quarter. Matter of fact, during the divorce, I thought about moving in.
I would say, that as the mayor stated, I mean, if you look at the trailer's Heath PD, Beat the Heat all over it. We no longer have any community relations programs, so to speak, or drug prevention or DUI prevention programs. DARE's out of the schools now. Perry's gone. We don't have that. This would at least give the police department some push out in the community, some visibility out in the community that we have someone that's out there spreading that anti-drug, anti-drinking and driving message, which is what he does with Beat the Heat. So there is a benefit of him being a reserve officer. This trailer has never been you know, anything that we've used at the department except on occasions. I think he said he would avail it to us. Also, it's key to think about how the trailer was gotten in the first place. It wasn't capital improvements money, it wasn't budgeted money. It was money from OBI funds, seizures, police work at the police department. That money goes into a fund whenever an OBI is convicted. The fines and the fees go into that particular fund. There's only certain things you can use it for. So we would, even if we would donate the Beat the Heath chapter, he's staying with us. He's still spreading the word for the Heath Police Department, and it's still going to be used for the same purpose it was designated for.
So not a single taxpayer dollar was.
No, taxpayer dollars have never, in my 10 years doing that, never gone into that program. And that's in our bylaws too, for BPE.
But taxpayer money has paid the insurance on that. So if he gets, if Beat the Heat would get the ownership of it, it would actually save the city whatever the cost of insuring that trailer has been, and it would be on Beat the Heat chapter.
You okay with it too, Dave? Yeah. Okay. Like I said, I told Chief Shepherd, I said, I think it was something that we needed to discuss, and like I said, I really had no real strong opinion one way or the other, but if the committee wants to move forward with the legislative request, I'm fine with that as well, so. I'll give this to Lynn, Jeff, so she can put it on the finance committee agenda.
Yeah, as I was reading through it, the only thing I could think of was maybe we should pass this by the future chief, but little did I know it was gonna be such a quick move here. He's already spoken for it, so.
Yeah.
All my questions are answered.
We're prepared, we're both in the Army.
That and it gets off the lawn out there too.
Yeah, they're tired of looking at it. It's got my picture on it. My next.
Yeah, it's a beautification project.
Yeah.
You can do his face though, can't you?
Yeah,
Slap it over.
exactly.
I'm surprised they hadn't thought of that yet. My second one is also dealing with Beat the Heat, and obviously I like to have trinkets and pamphlets and stickers and stuff to hand out to kids at the racetrack or when I go to schools or whatever to talk to them. So my second request is to appropriate $2,000 from within the OBI Education Fund to purchase those kinds of promotional materials to use with the BT program.
Got it.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Am I correct in remembering that those funds are supposed to be used for a purpose such as that?
It has to be OBI education, and that's and it's just, you know, I don't think there's $20,000-$30,000 in there, but I mean, if you want to just get that to be pizza, I've been very frugal, I think, at picking at that fund and buying only what I need.
So what, if there comes a point in time when Tony no longer wants to have the Beat the Heat program, we really don't have anything else in place right now that would be an avenue for use of those funds, do we? There's nothing that comes to my mind.
No, I mean, typically that money was used for DARE materials and anything has to do, but it has to do with education, see? I mean, it's not like I couldn't even use those. We couldn't use those to purchase if we wanted to do the little handheld breath testing for it. We couldn't even use it for that because that's equipment. It's not anything to do with the education part of it. So if you let the money, we let it go. What do you say? There's 20 or 30,000. It goes a few more years. You may just have to let that money get to a point where you have some good seed funds to get some new program started.
Okay.
If you wanted to do advertising on television, on the Heath schools and paying for that, and distributing materials, contributing to MAD or anything that they would do. So you'd have to be a little creative for the use of the money. We basically don't, at this point, have someone we could put in charge of a program that would really, spend that money at this point. Keep letting it accumulate in the future, may have good seed funds, get some good ones.
Yeah. And, council, the higher revised code spells out how those monies are to be used, but you might take another look at the language in the ordinance that describes the fund, and maybe the laws change a little bit, and you can kind of open it up, so to speak, because it's just one sentence, OVI education, and the law may allow that to expand a little bit. I don't pretend to know. It's something the law director would have to research.
John, did we use some of that money for the Mary Groceries when we was teaching high school?
Yeah, there was able to dip into that money to buy posters or whatever he needed to teach, because that was his message. Yeah. It was part of his message was there, and even beyond. He did, the traffic crash program, Officer Phil. I mean, there's other programs out there that's not quite as in depth where you have to have an officer in the school every day teaching.
Maybe we could check into it with the law director, maybe see about tweaking the ordinance or.
It's worth asking to make sure that the state law still has the same stipulations and requirements.
And I might add, and it's not, I'm not trying to skirt what the ORC and our the language in the ordinance, but I plan on buying 1,000 fingerprint kits, and I've got the police badge on there, and it says compliments of Heath Police. Plus, I got my racing logo on there, and Beat the Heath logo, and a drunk driving message on there. So, if Martin wants to use them, or Norm especially, gets a lot of requests to do like a class of kits. He uses those same ones I hand out at for Beat the Heat. So we're getting a little bit of a dual use out of it.
Okay. Our open house, the Lowe's open house, so there's about 4 activities a year that you can utilize, all that in the city. Your cruisers are ordered.
Cruisers are ordered. I forgot. That's the last item on the agenda. 6 to 8 weeks out. Well, now, what? We're a couple weeks ago. So 4 to 6 weeks out on the Chargers, and a couple about 6 to 8 on the Ford.
We're gonna see you in that Ford.
I'll be going.
You don't even want, not even a guest appearance just to get the Ford?
No, I haven't even got to drive one of those new Chargers.
That's Trolman Indy's new canine vehicle, so.
I just wanna see him in something besides a motor.
Hey,
See if it's possible. I don't know.
He drives a Mercury to work every day.
Yeah. People said, hey, how's come you don't take that white Charger that Detective Phillips drives? Because you're a Mopar guy. I said, I can take his car away from him. Just like driving a Mopar. But no, that Mercury's been good to me.
Then he thought about it.
No, sir, that's it.
You're into Mopar, right?
What's that?
You're into Mopar cars?
Am I into Mopar? Absolutely not.
No. Are you okay with having a fleet of those?
The Chargers? Oh yeah, they're a fine police vehicle. They've worked out pretty good. Just as good as the rest of them.
Didn't want to go back to boots.
Well, they just don't offer, Ford didn't offer anything until actually last year, and the first year that they come out with a new model was not the time to buy them. Let them work some of the bugs out.
And it was more expensive than the Charger too, wasn't it, this year?
Yes, they still are.
State bid.
Chargers are a little less expensive than the other two, the Chevy and the Ford, if I remember correctly.
Chief, you ready?
I believe so. Everybody got a copy?
You got any extra?
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Oh, let's see, fire statistics. 42 for the month, 114 total. You can see how much increase, and a lot of that had to do with alarm drops and things with the cold weather that we've had. Such a lot of mutual aid alarm drops and things with the city of New York.
It's almost double though, the number of fire runs how many of those were we're gonna call you out, and then we're not, and then, you know what I mean, where like 2 minutes
There would be
later
a
they turn
percentage
around.
merit. I couldn't tell you without going through the reports and finding out what we were, but there would be a percentage of those that were cancels.
Okay, alright,
But that's true with the EMS calls also. I mean,
yeah.
the last couple of days.
It's just, I mean, to see the numbers double, that's,
But looking, I mean, there was a dramatic increase in total calls. EMS wise, 161 versus 165. You can see we're a little down on the EMS calls. Transports down a little bit also, but early in the year, and consistently we've increased a little bit every year. So mutual aid, 17 fire, 16 EMS. We received 11 fire and 12 EMS. And there's what you can see. I have no legislative requests. Monthly, the mayor and I talked about this in the last couple of days too. The overtime looks like it's up dramatically, but and it is. But 2013 versus this year's 25 versus 7. Coslow's off, Spellman's off for a long period. Roger Baker taking some time off in the month of February. His dad is in the hospice program. Spellman won't be back to, I think it's the 18th of April. Cos should be back the 18th of this month. We had the confined space training class. There was just a lot of added stuff that, and it varies from year to year as far as people and illnesses and such. So it's up, but it'll balance out here a little later. Equipment, Tower 10 is out of service for an undetermined amount of time. Dick walked in as I was hanging up the phone with Piers. There's a valve body that is let loose, and we're being told that the company that manufactured it's out of business. One of those deals, and we were told that if they could get a hold of it, it's going to be 15 weeks. But I talked with Pierce a little bit ago, and they assured me that they can do better than that. So, and we're dealing with the local McConnellsville Finley Fire, who is our rep in this area. And hopefully we won't have to buy the entire assembly, which is $4,000, so I was told, and maybe just buy a portion of that, because it's just a long hydraulic valve assembly, multiple valve assemblies in a bank, bolted together, and you think you ought to be able to just buy one of them. But it's the fail-safe portion of the truck if everything else fails on it. So to have one broken, it's leaking through, and I can't afford to keep the truck in service by bypassing or whatever. It's a safety feature and all, and I wouldn't take that chance of getting somebody hurt. Still researching the EMS unit. We've had a couple of them in here. The mayor's got some stats. Haven't heard anything from McCoy Miller as of yet, but they said first week of March, so we're taking a look at that. Andy Boffman, our newest hire, is leaving and going to Granville. So, we were fortunate that, civil service, the list was still good till the 20th of August, so.
October.
I'm sorry.
October. Not
That's,
August,
yeah,
October.
that's correct. October the 20th of this year, so, we were able to pull some additional names, and we've already interviewed, made our selection and such. So Jamie Jones, which is actually the son of Ray Jones, has the record service in the city.
Cool.
A good candidate, and so, yeah, that's kind of cool. And he's qualified and such, and had been in contention for a job at Heath. And so anyway, we'll be hiring him. He's already had most of the testing done. We got the background check and such, so we'll talk together today. But Andy's last day is the 12th.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. And so we're gonna try to get him on board as soon as we can. Of course, we wanted him to get, he works currently several places part-time, and his full-time job is at the airport. He's ARC-trained, scratch-trained aircraft firefighter over Port Columbus, so that'll have some benefits over here as we do some reconfiguring.
Do you know why Andy left to go to Granville? Was there something specific that they
I don't know,
had?
did you ever talk with him, Mayor? Have you had a chat? He just said it was a better fit for him. There is a difference in the pay, not a whole heck of a lot, but there is a difference in the pay and such. He has been working for Granville for quite a while.
Okay.
And he currently shares a house with the chief's son over in Granville and all that, so it just,
He's just been waiting for a Granville job, probably, really.
I don't know. That was not what we took from the interviews that we had with him, but.
People
that
don't
was-
generally say that when you're interviewing them. I'm gonna stay with you.
Well, we had one, we had one that we asked that question to, and he just point blank said, if I get the opportunity, I'm going someplace else. And, you know, I'll know the 21st of March, I believe, was
Something like that.
20th, 21st.
You
So
didn't pick him
anyway,
though, did you?
And we appreciated his
Pick that
honesty
guy,
in
though.
answering that, and
and he said, I didn't wanna lie to you. So we do have honest candidates that are willing to tell you what they think. And that's a good thing. So anyway, Andy's leaving, Jamie Jones is coming on board. Our confined space rescue class went well. Classroom here, in the process of replacing a considerable amount of hardware that changes have been made in the standards and such, and so some of our gear was not basically legal for two-person rescues and all that, and of course, a lot of this stuff is geared for wastewater and such. If we have some city employees going down into a manhole and something happens, I know they're hooked up in most cases, but we have to be able to win and rescue them in some cases. Plus, we have confined spaces at Ampersett, Meritor. There's all kinds of, and there's a definition by OSHA standards, you know, that sometimes we've got to go into harm's way to get somebody out that's either been overcome or fallen and injured themselves. So anyway, we're upgrading some equipment. Exercise equipment, we should be picking that up in the next several
I
days.
signed a purchase order. Warren brought it over, I think, Friday or something like that.
Another one, yeah.
And you're getting that from,
It's coming from Genesis Health Systems, I believe, down at the hospital, their cardiac rehab
down at Zanesville.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, when you look in this room, we're pretty well outfitted, but a lot of free weights and 80% of the equipment there I own. I mean, it just, the city didn't have money when we put the room in or whatever, and so we've been using stuff that I actually purchased myself. So anyway, and then we need to go a little different direction. Instead of heavy weights, we need to cardiovascular, and so we don't end up with necks and shoulders. Some of that stuff, knock on wood. So that's coming and should benefit, and the Universal will put on eBay or have Heath try to sell that, and I think they'll get some, probably as much as what we paid for it at the time. We bought that from Heath High School at the time and all, and hopefully supplement some of the purchase price. Life Pack 15 contracts have been, you approved us, allowing me to get rid of our 12s and such, so that paperwork has all been turned in ahead of time, and
Now that's breathing apparatus.
no, the Life Pack are the,
Heart monitors, all
Yes.
squad.
Okay, yeah.
so to the tune of, if we get to 3 initially, $100,000 worth of cardiac monitoring and pacing equipment. So we'll know more
Is there
about
any
that.
reason to think that the hospital wouldn't give us one for each of
No,
our squad?
they were just, we were told initially get it in no later than the 1st of March, and then advised that you better get it in a lot quicker than that, because they were only gonna be able to the first round, buy so many units. And so, we expedited that very quickly and got in, so hopefully we'll get the first round of equipment and such. But those that don't get it this time have to wait until, March of next year before they're eligible again, so they weren't gonna be able to. However, the funding through LMH account or whatever, their community account,
Okay, so council passed an ordinance authorizing the ones that we have right now to be turned back into the hospital.
Right.
right,
If they don't have 3 new ones, obviously we're gonna hold on to what we've got,
that's
right?
correct.
Okay.
They will be
So then what
phased,
happens with that ordinance? Do we, I guess there was no time frame on it that said you had to give them back to the hospital within X number of days. Would that ordinance still be in effect, or would we have to have a new one passed next year?
it's a
I don't
question
think we
that
had
the
days.
law director, but in my opinion.
Mayor, we didn't have a day of time.
That's what I'm saying.
But in my opinion, they gave me the authorization to dispose of or trade those in, and if it's this year or if it's next year. I mean, that's how I see it, but I could clear that with the law director just to make sure that I don't have to do. But I have high hopes that everything will be smooth sailing for us, but they said it could take up to 2 months.
Okay.
So by the time they order them and get the first round, and I think they were gonna order 15 of them the first round. And that's all the information I have right now.
Okay.
New business plans for future levies. And that's something, I know we've kicked it around before or whatever, but it's just something. I've got equipment. You've got a little surplus right now. We're gonna replace an EMS unit, but I had told the mayor, I've got a rescue out there that we've talked about for a couple of years that is not any newer than it was 2 years ago. I've got a station truck that chases the medic around and all that. We need 3 pieces of equipment. Prioritized to move the rescue, the station pickup, and then the medic unit. However, we've changed that around. We've got 2 relatively new paramedic units and an older reserve, but there's still a little life left in that. And of course, that can be put on the market, sold. But we need to come up with some additional revenues that we can put towards some fire equipment. And the only way to do that is either do something with the fire levies like we talked about before. It's too late now to do anything this May, but in November of this year, we could possibly, I don't know, I'm open to
So, one of the
suggestions.
questions that I think we need to get an answer to is, and you're talking about resetting the current valuations of the 2 levies that we have in place right now.
That, if we don't do anything else, I mean, that's good to the tune of about 135,000.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. We probably, if anything was gonna be done for November, we would have to get an update on that. I mean, in my neighborhood, which is what I probably keep the closest, tabs on. In my neighborhood, I'm not sure that property values I'm not sure that they're still yet what they were, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that, 10 years ago. I'm not sure that,
If
I
that's
guess what
Current-
we wouldn't want to do is reset the
valuations is
valuations and see
NPC
no
go down.
impact, or God forbid, a decrease,
down.
I mean, we'd have to talk to I
and
guess
that's
it'd be
We
easily
need
done.
to contact the county auditor's office.
mean, we've always-
and see what,
that's, the last time that we got that figure was probably a couple years ago.
Yeah, approximately a year ago. And I can have that information by next meeting, that's easy
you
on
need
call.
to, you need to really get us some information that, we can really look at, I think. Hard.
Yeah.
Well, nobody wanted to put levies on, and for a couple of years I said, school levy's gonna come. Who would have ever thought the school levy would have passed as quickly and as easily as it did?
I mean, people in Heath support the.
Always have, and they've supported the fire department too over the years. So, I know Keith has talked about, be a waste of time just to bring them up. We ought to restructure or go after some other kind of levy. But anyway, it's something, it's gotta happen.
Evaluations be redone for the new school levy? They have some idea, they'll have to reevaluate homes in the school district for the school levy. We'll take a look at that, wouldn't that be similar to
Yeah.
what you guys are questioning? It may already be done.
Just know when I look at my tax duplicate.
That's what you need to do, just to see whether, check with the auditor's office and say if they've done a reevaluation of the properties in Heath,
And I can
Come back
say,
with some
if we leave this, they can give me, and always have, of course, I believe Cindy is retired, Cindy.
Yeah.
Fox. But, the gentleman I dealt with last
Becky
time.
could work that through their office, though. I mean, just because she's not there.
Oh, as I said, I talked to a gentleman that had replaced Cindy last time, so it's just a matter of making a phone
So
call.
just-
They're easy to work with, such. Figure wise, Mr. Figures. Is there anything that you want me to request?
You do it for each one, Mark. Don't just get one total, get each levy, if each levy was brought up, how much each one would generate,
Right.
so you get each one separate.
Okay, as I said, it's just a matter of asking, and they've never hesitated to give me the answer that I was looking for. So anyway,
Get that information because you've been asking for this and we need to decide to either do it or don't.
For November at least, yeah.
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
anyway,
Plenty
we've got
details.
it,
Good point, Tim, plenty details.
Okay, AEDs, we've got an EMS grant that will be writing shortly. The heart monitor that we carry on the rescue, I wasn't gonna put money in, it's an older unit MRL that, the batteries are shot, won't keep it charged, but I was gonna invest in batteries and stuff to, replace that, so when we get our EMS grant, coming up in May, we're gonna write for that. It should be about $2,500, and we're gonna buy 2 AEDs and put those, what's AED stand for? Giving you a test already. You'll know by the end of the
Automatic,
night.
huh?
You'll know by the end of the night, but, we're gonna put one in,
Automatic something.
automatic external
Defibrillator.
defibrillator.
External defibrillator.
Maybe you're right, but, one will go on truck 7 and the other will go in rescue 6.
2,500 apiece.
No,
Or
they're about,
$2,500
$1,300 to $1,600 a piece, so the EMS levy should pretty much buy us 2 new ones.
Do we have any other AEDs out there that we've provided out, just don't Cruisers?
I believe the Sertoma provided the, those that are in the cruisers and I don't remember, did you buy the ones that are in City Hall?
We got two different, places. I think the hospital maybe started and gave us a few.
Toma bought the majority of them.
Sertoma, and then there's one in every car, and then there's one on our side of the building, and then there's also one on the city side of the building near the first aid. So
You've
there's
got
two in the building itself.
an old one that the Rotary Club purchased for myself years ago that I believe is currently up at the activity center. That kind of stayed with some of that. And I think it had gone to the Shea House, nobody knew how to use it, so it went back to the activity center, and I believe they currently have that. And that kind of went along.
Sorry,
with
the what? The activity center?
The activity center up at the base. The fitness.
Oh,
Fitness
I got you.
In the Air Force days, they called it the activity.
Okay,
I'm going way back. So.
I got you.
Okay. But I've got one in my truck that we purchased a few years ago, and other than that, other than what's in the cruisers, City Hall, the high school, there was a state grant that put them in all the schools and such. So.
Ours are all good. We just bought all new packages and all new batteries for them, so we're still in good shape over there.
Okay. So anyway, questions on that? Server and Wi-Fi stuff, we're slowly making improvements. We got the server coming, the Wi-Fi. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure where they were in the other day and started putting some of that up, because up in the radio room was where the one and only wireless unit was, so we're putting the wireless back here because we use the internet quite often for training back here when there's all kinds of stuff on YouTube and such, but we couldn't hardly get a signal here, so that's going, and that goes along with the new EMS software in time. Some of this,
Yeah, you got HFD printers, and HFD public. The HFD public is not password protected. So it's up. And
how good a signal.
I've got full, is what it shows
That's
online.
good, because you get 2 bars in there and past it. But the new software, as far as I know, is ordered. The mayor signed the PO the other day. It is about $3,000.
Wait, hold on a second. You're talking about the EMS software?
Yes.
David Morrison just today emailed me his review of the contract. I've not yet signed it.
Okay. Very good.
So it hasn't been ordered.
No.
It is not ordered yet, but we were told that within about a week time frame, it could be implemented, but, we're still, I don't know, mid-April.
Warren on duty tomorrow, by the way?
Warren, should be.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I need to talk to him. He had sent David the email. It looked to me as though it was the correct email address, but David did not receive his email. When he first sent the contract to me, he also copied David so he could review it. I followed up with David on Friday asking him where it was. He said that he hadn't got it, so he reviewed it over the weekend and then emailed me today.
And this goes back to some of the issues we have here. I send a lot of correspondence from here to my home residence, and I sent you your agenda and we didn't have any problem. And it seems like but anything outside of the city loop or whatever is not going.
It handles any email system handles internal emails differently than it handles external emails. So, yeah, if you're having a problem sending or receiving external emails, you may not have a problem at all internally.
Over the weekend, I tested from here to try, and I'm still not receiving anything that I sent here to my home email address. So that may be part of Warren's. Too.
Yeah, we need to let.
No, Alphalin's been working on it. So.
It might not be then, it might be the email server settings, we need to let Rich Day know.
Yeah.
with data. So,
As a matter of fact,
So
that's
anyway.
probably where the problem is, it's probably something on the email server.
that being said, that's all I have. Any questions? Nick, you gonna stick around tonight, or
If I can?
you're more than welcome to? Becky, I don't know whether you gonna take it, or?
I actually have other plans. I forgot I was even supposed to be here tonight. It's
Don't
weird.
feel bad, because everybody else did too.
I know.
But, okay,
I
that's
would have,
fine.
but yeah.
I was gonna say, sounds like somebody remembered.
Almost everybody.
Almost. So, we'll take a few minute break. And
I don't
then-
remember, how long does it take?
Yeah.